Ivan Health Services is offering semaglutide at a fraction of the price of other companies. This medication works by mimicking a hormone in your body that helps regulate your appetite and blood sugar levels. It's been clinically proven to help people lose weight and control hunger cravings and feel full longer. Our customers only pay $99 per month, and you can get $20 off of your first order with the code CHRONICCREW. So visit ivanhealthservices.com now to get this special limited time offer. So whether you are looking to manage your overall health or control your blood sugar, this may be the solution for you. Consult your healthcare provider to see if semaglutide is for you. Now, let's dive into today's episode of The Chronic Crew.
Hello, my beautiful, curious, ever hungry for knowledge listeners. Welcome to today's episode of The Chronic Crew, where we unravel the mysteries of the human body like it's some grand cosmic riddle, because it is. A condition so common, so misunderstood. We are back this week doing a deep dive into one of our high-risk, long-term conditions that affect millions of people around the world. If you or someone you know has been affected by type 2 diabetes, you do not want to miss this extraordinary episode. We have the brilliant Dr. Yadira Franco, an endocrinologist who spends her days decoding the enigma that is insulin resistance. We've got New York Times bestseller author Sydney Pano, whose latest book, Managing Type 2 Diabetes, is shaking up the way we approach this condition. There's also Harvard professor Garrett Greenlee, who specializes chronic disease. And finally, two remarkable individuals, Caleb Medina and Michael Hawley, who have lived with type 2 diabetes and have the wisdom of experience to share. Right then, let's talk about something that seems to be lurking behind so many health problems: obesity. This isn't just about eating a sneaky biscuit when no one's looking. No. This is about something far more intricate, something woven into the very fabric of modern existence. Dr. Franco, my learned friend, could you illuminate us on the link between obesity and type 2 diabetes? Tell us, how's it diagnosed? Is it preventable and manageable with the right knowledge and care?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here and excited to discuss this important topic, as I believe type 2 diabetes is manageable and oftentimes preventable with the right amount of resource and education. Type 2 is a chronic condition where the body cannot effectively produce insulin or use insulin properly, which leads to abnormally high blood sugar levels. Type 2 diabetes is diagnosed through blood testing including A1C, where the blood sugar levels are constantly high over time.
So obesity being one of the major risk factors for developing type 2 diabetes, can we talk about how it plays a role in the development of the condition?
Yes, absolutely. Obesity, or the accumulation of excess body fat, is the primary pathway to insulin resistance. Obesity significantly increases the risk of developing type 2 diabetes and is a leading cause of this disease. When someone is obese, their body struggles to process insulin effectively, a condition called insulin resistance. This means the body's cells don't respond well to insulin, so blood sugar level rises, and over time this can lead to development of type 2 diabetes. Additionally, excess fat, especially around the abdomen, can release hormones and other substances that further impair insulin function.
So it's not just about eating too much sugar, but the extra weight itself that messes with insulin.
Exactly. While sugary foods play a role, it's really the accumulation of excess fat that disrupts insulin function. In fact, even a modest amount of weight loss of just 5 to 10% of your body weight can significantly improve insulin sensitivity and reduce the risk of developing type 2 diabetes.
That's great to hear because it feels a little bit more attainable. Speaking of weight and food, portion control is something where many of us crumble. What role does portion control play in this grand puzzle?
Portion control is a key factor. Overeating, even healthy foods, can contribute to weight gain and increase blood sugar levels. When people eat large portions, especially carbohydrates, the body has to produce more insulin to deal with the sugar in the bloodstream. If this cycle happens repetitively, the body can become resistant to insulin. Learning proper portion size is vital for maintaining healthy blood sugar levels and managing weight. It's all about balance, educating yourself with appropriate portion sizes, and also making small changes, like eating slower, using smaller plates, and paying attention to hunger cues can all help manage portion sizes effectively.
All right, let's shift gears a bit. Prevention, screening. Who should be getting tested, and at what point should we be dragging ourselves to the doctor?
Early screenings is critical because type 2 diabetes often develops without noticeable symptoms. The earlier you catch it, the more manageable it becomes. People who are overweight, have a family history of diabetes, or have high blood pressure should consider screening. The American Diabetes Association recommends that anyone over the age of 45 should be screened regularly. But if you have additional risk factors in your family, you should talk to a doctor about earlier or even more frequent screenings. When type 2 diabetes is caught early, lifestyle changes such as diet, exercise, and even medication can help delay or even prevent complications like heart disease, kidney damage, and nerve issues. Early screenings give people the chance to take control before things get out of hand.
Thank you so much for all of this incredible information. Now let's talk about something that truly matters in all of this. That would be support. Sydney, your book really emphasizes the holistic approach to mind, body, and spirit. Tell us, why is that so vital?
Thank you so much. It's great to be here and talk about something so close to my heart. Type 2 diabetes is a condition that affects millions of people. So the more we talk about it, the better equipped people will be to manage it.
Absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about your book and what inspired you to write about the managing type 2 diabetes?
Of course. My book, Managing Type 2 Diabetes, was inspired after seeing how it impacted not only my family members, but also several of my friends. I wanted to create a resource that was practical, empowering, and full of useful advice. A lot of people feel overwhelmed when they're diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, so my goal was to break it down into simple steps they could use every day to improve their health and quality of life. I also wanted to share my research and findings of continuous glucose monitoring technology that tracks your glucose level 24 hours a day while wearing this device. This technology empowers people with type 2 diabetes as a way to take ownership of their disease and also to allow for more personalized treatment options.
Now listen, your book is a revelation. So many people don't realize that type 2 diabetes is, for the most part, a condition that can be prevented or even reversed with the right approach. For someone who's been diagnosed, what are the first few steps they should take?
Great question. The first step is always education and understanding what type 2 diabetes actually is. At its core, it's a condition where the body either doesn't use insulin properly or doesn't make enough of it. Insulin is a hormone that helps your body convert food into energy. Without it, your blood sugar levels can get out of control. The key to managing type 2 diabetes is stabilizing blood sugar levels. This involves a combination of eating healthy, regular exercise, and sometimes medication. But what I always stress in my book is that lifestyle changes are at the heart of successful management.
You mentioned in your book that diet and exercise are game changers. Can you share simple changes that people can make to get started? How does exercise stack up against diet? Because let's be honest, people want to know if they can just fix everything by eating fewer donuts.
When it comes to diet, the first thing I recommend is focusing on whole foods like vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains. Reducing processed foods, especially sugary snacks, is crucial because those can spike your blood sugar levels. People also often overlook the importance of portion sizes, so keeping track of what and how much you eat is essential. As far as exercise goes, it helps the body use insulin more efficiently, and it can also help with weight management, which is important for managing blood sugar. I always tell my readers to aim for at least 30 minutes of moderate exercise, like brisk walking 4 to 5 times per week. It's not about doing anything extreme, it's just about being consistent and keeping your body moving.
You talk about some of the emotional and physiological challenges of living with type 2 diabetes. Can you tell us more about that? A lot of people don't realize the mental toll it can take on a person.
Yes, that's so true. When people are diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, it can be overwhelming. There's a lot of fear about the future and what the condition could mean for their mental health. The emotional weight can make it harder to stick to a routine. In fact, Dr. Andrew Wiesick, a leading researcher on diabetes, explains how emotional and physiological support is just as important as physical care in the treatment of chronic diseases. I talk in the book about the importance of building a support system, whether it's family, friends, or a healthcare provider. And also practicing self-compassion is important. Managing diabetes is a long-term commitment, but with the right mindset, it becomes a lot easier to control.
One thing I love about your book is how you really emphasize the importance of a holistic approach, addressing not just the physical aspects, but the emotional and mental ones too.
Yes, it's all interconnected. Managing type 2 diabetes isn't just about taking medication or exercising. It's also about looking at your life and finding a balance. And that's something I really wanted to stress in the book, taking small, manageable steps that make you feel empowered.
And that's what makes your book so powerful. Now, for our listeners thinking, I need this book, where can they find it? And how can they connect with you for more guidance?
My book, Managing Type 2 Diabetes, is available online and in bookstores everywhere. For those just starting out on their journey with type 2 diabetes, I always encourage them to reach out to a healthcare provider for personalized advice.
Well, Sydney, thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom. It has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. I appreciate you inviting me. I hope this conversation in my book helps listeners feel more confident in managing their health.
Wonderful. Now, before we move on, let me quickly tell you about something that could make your life immeasurably easier. Because, let's be honest, we all want to eat well, but sometimes life happens, and suddenly you're shoving a sad, microwavable nightmare into your face at 11 p.m. But fear not, Factor Meals have got your back. Fresh, chef-prepared, nutritious meals delivered straight to your door. It's like having a personal chef without having to pay someone to loiter in your kitchen. Use code Chronic Crew at checkout and get $10 off your first box. No more excuses, my friends. Eat well, live well, and move on with your life. Try Factor Meals today, and you won't be disappointed. All right, now let's dive deeper because diabetes isn't just a personal battle, it's a societal one. And to help us unpack the bigger picture, I'm thrilled to welcome Dr. Garrett Greenlee, a Harvard professor specializing in chronic disease policy. Dr. Greenlee, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so pleased to be here. This is a really important question as policies surrounding type 2 diabetes often focus on two main issues, prevention and management. On the prevention side, there is an increasing emphasis on promoting healthier lifestyles, particularly through improved nutrition and increased physical activity. Governments are pushing for better food labeling, tax incentives for healthier food options, and restrictions on sugary beverages. There's also a growing push for early screening, especially for people at high risk. According to a study published in The Lancet, lifestyle intervention programs that emphasize the importance of early screening and highlight weight loss, increased physical activity, and low-calorie diets have a significant impact on reversing type 2 diabetes in some individuals. These factors have been proven to reduce the risk of developing type 2 diabetes by 58% over 3 years in high-risk individuals. This was compared to a 31% reduction in risk with the use of the drug metformin, a common medication used to treat type 2 diabetes. Also, the World Health Organization emphasizes the importance of a healthy diet and regularly scheduled physical activity as effective ways of preventing chronic disease. The WHO's strategy emphasizes a population-wide approach that promotes healthy lifestyles, particularly in impoverished areas where unhealthy diets are prevalent.
Well, that's definitely a step in the right direction. So what population constituency will benefit the most from these policy changes?
Well, individuals with type 2 diabetes and at high-risk populations will reap the most benefit from these policies by promoting healthier lifestyles and emphasizing the importance of early screening. Now, for individuals with type 2 diabetes, this will improve their quality of life and reduce mortality rates among the diseased population. With the at-risk population, these policies will equip them with tools to prevent them from developing the disease.
So are these policies enough? Do you think they're making significant impact in reducing the prevention of type 2 diabetes?
Well, unfortunately, the rise of type 2 diabetes has been much faster than the rate at which policies are being implemented. While prevention efforts are important, we are still dealing with a healthcare system that's largely reactive rather than proactive. Many people are diagnosed too late, after they've already developed complications. More comprehensive policies are needed that not only focus on prevention, but also improve access to healthcare, particularly for underserved communities, and provide support for long-term management of the disease.
Yeah, I agree that early detection is so important. So let's shift gears and talk about genetics. Genetics is something that many people don't fully understand when it comes to type 2 diabetes. How significant is our genetic makeup in determining the risks?
Certain genetic variations can make people more susceptible to insulin resistance, which is at the heart of type 2 diabetes. In fact, researchers have identified over 100 genetic risk factors that influence a person's likelihood to develop the condition. First-degree relatives with type 2 diabetes provide a greater risk for other family members. While having a family history increases your risk of type 2 diabetes, it is not a guarantee. Genetics play a part, but lifestyle choices play an even larger role. For example, if someone with a genetic predisposition to type 2 diabetes leads a healthy lifestyle by eating well and exercising regularly, they can often prevent or delay the onset of type 2 diabetes, even if they have a family history.
Oh, it's great to hear that it's not entirely out of our control. Thank you for sharing the leading causes and pathways that lead to this disease. Throughout your research, how have you found that we are learning more about genetic markers and how they affect the risk of diabetes?
Researchers are working on identifying specific genetic markers that contribute to insulin resistance, which is a key factor with type 2 diabetes. With advancements in genetic testing and technology, we are getting better at understanding how these markers influence the disease. For example, some people may have a genetic variant that causes their body to produce too much glucose, while others have a genetic tendency to store fat in ways that lead to insulin resistance. By identifying these markers, we can better predict who is at risk and create prevention efforts more effectively. Although genetic testing is not routine, it could be used in the future to detect early screening. This would be a game changer for intervention and prevention.
Well, thank you, Dr. Greenlee, for all this amazing insight.
We know jobs can have long hours and require constant focus. But did you know there are supplements designed to help keep you feeling your best while you're at work? Introducing Berberin supplements packed with energy-boosting ingredients, joint support, and vitamins to help you keeping your sharp, stay focused, and feeling great throughout your day. If you're ready to boost your wellness, visit myrefinedhealth.com and use code CHRONICCREW at checkout for a 10% discount off your first order. Take care of others while you take care of yourself.
Now let's talk to two of our panel members who have type 2 diabetes. Please welcome Caleb Medina and Michael Hawley. Mr. Medina, how would you describe the epidemiology of type 2 diabetes?
In the United States, about 1 in 10 people have diabetes, and about 90% to 95% of them have type 2 diabetes. I am also aware of some racial and ethnic groups, including African Americans, Hispanics, and Native Americans, having higher rates of diabetes compared to other ethnic groups. As stated earlier, people over the age of 45 have a higher chance of developing type 2 diabetes, as well as those who are overweight or have a family history of the disease.
Mr. Medina, share with us a little bit about your story with managing type 2 diabetes.
I grew up in Pakistan, one of the highest comparative diabetes rated countries, and was first diagnosed with type 2 diabetes at the age of 24 before moving to the U.S. I was without the resources to manage the disease, which made it very difficult. Living in a low-income area, there was not much education surrounding type 2 diabetes. There were also not a lot of resources or access to healthy foods and exercise facilities like we do here have in the United States. Access to healthcare was limited, and medical knowledge of the disease was non-existent.
That must have been so difficult.
Fortunately, when I was 30, I was able to move to the United States, where I found a decent job with health insurance. This enabled me to get some of the medication and resources that I need to manage the disease and also improve my overall health and quality of life.
Such an important reminder. Access is everything. And Caleb, do you feel like healthy food options are more accessible now?
Yes. Fortunately, I live in a community with access to many grocery stores and healthy food stores, as well as exercise facilities and parks. I have found a support system with other people who have type 2 diabetes, and we get together for group fitness and encourage one another to live healthy lifestyles.
Michael, let's hear your story. You were diagnosed unexpectedly. How did that impact you?
Actually came as a bit of a shock. A few years ago, I wasn't feeling terrible, but I had experienced some symptoms, including being thirsty often, feeling tired all the time, and some unexpected weight gain. I had a family history of diabetes, but I didn't think it was something that would affect me. After a routine checkup, my doctor ran some tests. I had been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Honestly, I was scared and overwhelmed at first. It felt like my whole world was turned upside down.
No, that sounds incredibly overwhelming. When you got that diagnosis, what was the hardest part for you?
Honestly, the hardest part was realizing that I was going to have to make big changes in my life. I think I had this mentality that diabetes was something that happened to other people and not to me. I was really focused on the idea of needing to change my diet and lifestyle, and I was a little nervous about how much work it would take to feel like myself again. The thought of managing my blood sugar and balancing everything was very intimidating at first. The first thing I did was sit down with a doctor and dietitian. They were both super helpful and explained what I needed to do and how to start implementing these changes. One of the biggest things I did was completely transform my diet. I began focusing on whole foods, including lots of vegetables and lean meats. I cut back on processed foods and sugary snacks and focused more on healthy fats. That was a big shift for me. I also started paying more attention to my portions and learned how different foods impacted my blood sugar levels. Over time, I became more mindful of balancing my meals, which helped me feel more energized and stable throughout the day.
That's amazing. It sounds like the diet changes were a huge part of your success. Were there any other lifestyle changes that you made to help improve your overall health?
Yes, exercise became a huge factor. I was not someone who was very active before my diagnosis, but I knew that I needed to start moving my body more. I began with small, achievable goals like walking for 30 minutes a day. Over time, I gradually increased the intensity and even started doing strength training a few times a week. That helped me lose some weight and improve my insulin sensitivity. Another big change was learning how to manage stress. I realized that stress could spike my blood sugar, so I started incorporating stress management practices like meditation, yoga, and deep breathing into my routine. It wasn't an overnight change, but slowly I started to feel the difference. I also made sure to get enough sleep, which I had never really prioritized before. My blood sugar began to stabilize, and I was able to reduce my medication. I'm now able to keep my blood sugar levels in a healthier range, and it's made a huge difference in how I feel every day.
Thank you, Mr. Hawley, for sharing your journey. Your story is nothing short of inspiring, and I have no doubt that our listeners feel the same way. What a conversation this has been. To all of our guests today, thank you for your valuable insights, and to our listeners, we encourage you to take charge of your health, seek out expert advice, and surround yourself with a supportive community. Knowledge is power, but action is transformation. A massive thank you to our sponsors, Ivan Health, Factor Meals, and My Refined Health, for making these conversations possible. Your support helps us to keep spreading awareness and empowering people to make long-lasting changes. That will be a wrap for today, but we're just getting started. Until then, stay informed, stay inspired, and keep pushing for better health. This has been The Chronic Crew, signing off.